So you did nothing for a month?
No, because I could not sit. I couldn't squat.
Ooh.
Like even doing a push-up, I can feel it like on my lower back. It was really bad.
Welcome to the Hale Fitness Podcast. I am Coach Jay. I am here with
Coach Katie
and
Coach Wendy
and Coach
Rebecca.
Today, we're going to talk a little bit about injury because, a couple of reasons. One is I'm currently hurt. And I'm going through all the emotions for that, but we've all kind of been through that, and a lot of our folks that we work with have been through that as well. Mm-hmm. And it can really kind of derail you, and it just sucks. Yeah. And so I want to start by kind of talking through some of the injuries that maybe we've had, and maybe the process to kind of get back, how you've gotten back, what you would sort of recommend for other people. Right?
Yeah.
So before we started this, you had a question. What was your question, Wendy? It was like, what was your favorite injury or something like that?
Best.
Your best injury?
Yeah. Best injury.
What was your best injury, Wendy?
Yeah, what is it?
Mine has to be the one where I PR'd my front squat. I got to 215, but I paid the consequences for that one. So my back was messed up. I was out for about 4 months.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's
really
bad.
That's your best one, huh?
Oh, wow. Yeah. To the point that I thought I broke my back. Like, I really, really, it was really bad.
I like how you're flipping, worst for best. What is the worst injury that time? I was out for 4 months, but you're like, what is the best injury?
Well, I think it's the best because I learned a lot from that injury. Yeah. So I know not to be stupid and not to let my ego get in the way. And I'm gonna save this front squat no matter what.
Right.
That's what happened. That's what I thought was going through my mind when I went for that 215.
Yeah.
So I got greedy.
Yeah. What was your okay? So that's your most sort of dramatic injury. Yeah. Rebecca, what about you?
Well, I was thinking what was my best, coolest injury, and I have this vague memory of when I was a kid and I stepped on a nail on purpose.
Oh,
but you know what? I don't even know if that's true. Have you ever had memories where you're not really sure if it happened or not? So I don't know, because it feels like that.
It was all a dream.
Didn't really happen, but I feel like I remember it.
How much were you drinking?
Wow. I was 7. So
a lot.
A couple packs. That's what I think of when I hear best.
Okay. That's really good. All right, Katie, what about you?
Yeah, okay, best definitely was bike riding in my yard one time, and I went around the bend, and I slipped, and I, fell into the corner of my house, so I busted my head open. Yeah. But it was I had this, not a big yard, but big enough.
Yeah.
And all this space and all these other places I could have fallen, but it was the corner of the house was the spot, as it happens.
That's perfect.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Also because they bleed so much, so it's really dramatic, and it's this tiny little cut.
Wow. How about yours, Jay?
I had a couple. I used to do a lot of dumb things as a kid. Let's see. One time there was this giant hill, and there was a bunch of dirt bikes going down it, real steep hill. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I would go down that hill on my BMX bike.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a lot steeper than I thought. I was probably going 40 miles an hour when I hit a patch of rocks, and I just lost control of the bike and just slid for about, 30 feet on my face. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking.
Who were you with?
No
just
one.
friends?
Yeah.
I just think back to that time where, there's no cell phones.
Yeah.
How did you get help?
Yo.
So I think I was with a friend, and it was okay. This is super weird, right? So this is maybe 10, 15-minute ride away from my house, and I did the thing, and I got hurt, and I'm crying, bleeding all down the side of my face, and we start walking back, and as soon as we get to the street, my mom was there.
Wow. Dang.
Wow.
She was just there
to the rescue.
And she was, and I was
Mom
like,
intuition.
I was like,
That's amazing.
how did you
She
even
came to the rescue. Wow.
did you even
Pictured your
know?
mom with angel wings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was just like, I don't know. I just thought I'd come check on you. And I'm like
Wow.
bleeding and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so didn't need a cell phone.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Dialed up the universe.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I almost lost my eye here. I have a scarf right here.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was jumping on top of a table. I think I was like, I don't know, like maybe 8. And then there was a like a broken box, and I slipped, and that on that like very corner, boop. Yeah.
How old were you?
8.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
Eight.
man, that's good.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 5, my mom came to pick me up from preschool or kindergarten, whatever it was, and I saw her and I started running and I tripped and my tooth went through my lip. You see that scar?
Oh
right there?
yeah.
Yeah. My tooth went through my bottom lip.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I think it was one of those, like, I was missing some teeth, so that one just went. Yeah.
Dang, that's
That's
crazy.
pretty bad.
Yeah. That's the best one.
Pretty
That might
bad.
be
That's
the
pretty
best
good.
one.
I did go fishing with the class one time, and one of my classmates like pulled back the fishing rod, and the hook went into my eyebrow. Sorry.
Like a piercing?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. But I was really oblivious, like, because it happened so fast. Like, it actually wasn't weirdly wasn't that
Yeah,
painful.
yeah.
Then my mom like plucked it out of my eye and was like, "Okay, it's fine, keep going." Okay, keep going. Later, she was like, "Did you know?" Like, good thing that kid didn't like.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway,
Damn,
all
that's
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
Incredible.
All right. So these are all most of these are not gym related injuries. But we've all had some sort of gym related injuries that sidelined our training a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about those. So that one where you were doing a front squat and you
Yeah.
kind of like hurt your back. That was like, that's the most recent and most kind of serious one that you've had. Yeah.
Not recent. This was, let's see, probably like 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the most serious. Kind
Yeah.
of one
Yeah.
that you've had.
I haven't had, another one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like what? So you get through the pain. So there's like the pain of like I can barely get out of bed and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. How long did it take for you to get to the point where like you could actually come back into the gym and like do anything?
Yeah. About a month, I
Really?
want to say.
So you did
Yeah.
nothing for a month?
No, because I could not sit. I couldn't squat.
Ooh.
Like even doing a push up, I can feel it like on my lower back. It was
Yeah.
it was really bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad. So I took a month off
Wow.
before start just moving in general.
Yeah. How did that feel?
Like my worst month of my life.
Really? Yeah.
Back then, I mean, there's other things that happen in my life now, but
Yeah.
back
Plenty of
then-
Not
other,
to
plenty
make
of
it
other,
bad.
other
moments.
right, more way worse experience. But yeah, I mean, it felt. I wouldn't say like I was depressed, but I was very sad.
Yeah.
Very sad because I had a routine going on. And I think at that point we were going into a new cycle of like a strength training cycle that we had. So we were going to do back squats, deadlifts, and I happened to hurt my back just when it was going to start. So yeah, I was really sad. I was really sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Rebecca, you had one recently.
I did.
Right? Yeah. What was?
I caught a snatch in a competition, and my elbow essentially gave out and kind of. I haven't watched the video, so I don't really
Just
know.
kind of like hyperextended.
It
a little.
hyperextended, yeah. It was black and blue for a few weeks. I couldn't use it. Yeah, I couldn't use it.
Yeah. And how long did it take until you were able to do anything at the gym?
Well, I did stuff at the
Yeah.
gym. So I came back. I just didn't use that arm. So I did whatever I could, and I tried to be like, even things I could kind of do, if I knew it potentially could prolong the injury, I would stay away from it. So yeah.
So like you were back in the gym, what, 2 days later?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay. And Katie, what about you? If you had any?
Yeah,
recent
I haven't had
injuries?
any like dramatic CrossFit injuries. In fact, one of the reasons I like gravitated towards CrossFit because I was between doing gymnastics and then playing ultimate frisbee. I had all the ACL tears and broken ankles and things, and I was like, oh, here's a sport where I don't really have to get injured.
Better knock on that wood.
Or it's like, I know, right? Knock on wood, and non-contact, whatever. So the stuff for me has just been like little stuff, and pulling my calves multiple times, like that kind of stuff, but nothing that really lasted or persisted for too long. I would say the longest would be like I developed real bad bicep tendonitis actually from the job that I was doing, and it made it so like any kind of overhand pulling, so like pulling for a clean or pulling for a pull up, was bad. And what made it the worst was that like it actually wasn't really a debilitating injury. So like you could kind of keep doing stuff, and so you're always tempted to do stuff, and you always wanted to do stuff. But then the thing about like anyone who's had bicep, that stuff just like takes freaking forever to heal, and you just have to rest it.
Yeah.
And so I just kept re-injuring it and re-injuring it. And that was probably like the better part of 6 months before finally I was like, I should probably do something about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess with that sort of tendonitis, you just kept doing stuff, and then when you decided to do something, you just stopped
That's
training,
it.
or
I just stopped doing all the movements that annoyed it.
Yeah.
And
For
what
how
was,
long?
oh my gosh, it was probably 6 months, another 6 months that I just kind of mostly avoided those movements.
Yeah.
But they were kind of specific, so I was kind of lucky. Like I couldn't overhand pull it, but I could underhand.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird stuff like that. And then I started doing a lot of other work to like fortify my shoulders and my joints. And I think like that also really helped. Mm-hmm. And I kind of haven't looked back since. Like honestly, I still do a lot of that stuff because I'm like protect the joints.
Yeah. So my most recent one was I was catching a clean and I just pulled a muscle in my quad, and that was only like what 10, 12 days ago.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took like a week off from like doing more than just like walking, because it was just painful. It wasn't like, I don't think it's anything serious, but it just sucks. And then I kind of went back to the gym, did something else, and then I hurt my foot. And it was just like the opposite foot, right? And like the next day I was like just super depressed. I'm like, okay, the first thing I do when I come back, I hurt something else. And it kind of it sort of sent me down this like a little bit of like a spiral, not like depression, but like this spiral of like, man, like, am I going to be able to do any of this stuff anymore?
Yeah.
And how long is this going to take? And am I always going to injure this stuff? Is this going to be like a 6 month thing or whatever? Yeah. And what's really interesting about it is I didn't have to do that thing that caused my foot to hurt. I just thought, hey, I'm feeling mostly fine. Let me just do this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it you had that setback, you're just like, fuck all of this. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Which makes you feel terrible.
Yeah.
And I think this happens a lot for folks that come in. It's like neither of these things is serious.
Yeah.
Right. It's not something that requires surgery. It's just pain. Mm-hmm. And it's just a high level of pain that tells you that you need to stop. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people experience stuff like this. They'll like tweak their back, or they'll tweak their ankle or knee or elbow or whatever it is. They feel this pain, and the first thing they do, they either try to ignore it, right, and just grind through it like you did, or they completely stop everything. Mm-hmm. And I think the truth is somewhere in between. I don't know. What do y'all think? I mean, none of these are like serious, debilitating injuries, but they are going to slow you down. Mm-hmm. So what do you think is the best approach when you have this sort of pain, but not like something that requires surgery? Getting back into the gym, or should you come back to the gym? Should you grind through it? Should you ignore it? Like, what is your kind of philosophy on this?
I think mine was, or what I tell people is, find out what happened. Like, what exactly did you do to get it injured, right? So the very first thing I did, after I cried for a few hours, I did reach out to Heidi. And she, I told her what happened. She took me through, did her thing with the assessment, and okay, this is what you need to do first, and this is what happens after. So figuring out what exactly it is that's happening with your body, I think it's one way to start. Because then from there, you can tell what things you could do or what you can do, or maybe you need 2 to 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
So just figuring out what happened, what exactly happened, and what caused that. I think that's where I usually start.
Yeah.
Go to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Like, don't just Google back pain or Google, elbow thing, because then it'll take you to the worst possible place, and then you'll think you're the 1% that probably needs to have reconstructive surgery and your life is over. So yeah, find someone you trust to.
You didn't do that though. That wasn't you.
I mean, there were a couple times I may have Googled. Pretty sure I have.
You're like, Alex, I'm gonna have a bionic arm.
One time Alex was having, I don't remember what he was having, but I mean, and he's like, I think I have fibromyalgia. Where do you get? Oh, I Googled my symptoms. Pretty sure I have fibromyalgia.
We've all done that. I've definitely done that. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is like, I feel like what you're saying is you kind of want to get to the root of why you got injured in the first place. And sometimes freak things happen, right? And it's just like, all right, there's not a lot I could have done to prevent that. But like you talked about, all right, well, maybe there are some front squats I don't need to save.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe there's some underlying like imbalances in my hips
Right.
or whatnot that I need to address.
Yeah.
Heidi's the expert. She can help me figure it out.
And
right?
when I
Like,
did talk to Heidi, she pointed out the things that, were actually happening with my squat that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah,
Right. So, although it was one of the worst injuries or the worst injuries I had, I also learned a lot from that injury too as well. So
Totally, yeah.
it wasn't the worst thing ever, I guess you can say, because some good stuff came from that
It
stuff.
was the best injury.
The best, that's right.
Well, and Rebecca too, because we were just talking yesterday. You're like, well, I'm actually trying to improve this part of my snatch technique because I think one of the reasons I got injured was because I was like catching it off of the swing versus pulling straight up. And it's like, that's getting to the root of why did I get injured in the first place, right? Or like, I don't know if you've thought about this with your injury, but like, I wonder what happened there. Well, we'd done a million lunges the day before, right?
Yeah.
And like all this stuff. Like, I wonder,
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I spoke to Heidi, and she was doing some assessments. She's like, "Oh, your hip is like ridiculously tight," and she started doing some stuff on that. It's like, yeah, you need to work on this hip because this leg kind of goes in a little bit and it hurts your knee, and then that's perhaps why you pulled that muscle. And I think there is something. I mean, there's a reason why you Google stuff on WebMD whenever something comes up, because you are looking for some sort of like explanation or comfort,
right.
to be like, okay, is there something I can do about this, right? And I think, doing the Google dance works for some people, but then the next step usually is they go to their doctor, and what does the doctor always say?
Don't exercise. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
I went to urgent care for my arm, and they didn't even take like any scans or anything, and he prescribed that blue stuff that Shaq uses. He even said, that blue stuff that Shaq just put it on, and then he tried to
Icy hot?
Yeah.
something like that,
Something
whatever.
like that. Yeah.
And he's like, stay away from the curls for a while. And I'm like, I really just waited 3 hours for this information. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and that's
No dumbbell curls for you.
Dang it.
well. So here's the thing: if you are going to most doctors, especially like urgent care or like general physician, they're focused on saving your life. They're not necessarily focused on like getting you back to being able to front squat. So it's just easier for them to say, hey, just stop doing this, and then your body will do what it's going to do, and then you can get back to it. Now, if you went to like a specialist that specializes in getting people back to whatever, then they're going to give you different advice. They're going to, do some assessments and that kind of thing. But like, you just have to you kind of have to ask the question, like, what is the incentive of the person that is in front of me? If you get in front of Heidi, her incentive is to get you moving, keep you moving, so that you can do the thing that makes you happy, which is, your physical practice.
yeah.
Doctors don't care about that.
Yeah.
For the most part. right? They're like, yeah, exercise, and then you get hurt. Hey, stop exercising.
Yeah.
You can get back to exercising in a year, right?
Yeah.
So, so I like this idea of kind of finding the sort of root cause. And for you, you did a few drills and found out that like, oh, I'm moving this way, I'm doing these things. And then did Heidi just give you some exercises and you do those, or?
Yeah, she told me that I needed to rest for about a month, which I did. So just not do anything, absolutely nothing, because there was a lot of pain still. So why would you work out still feeling pain? So I took a month off, and then she reassessed, and then she just gave me the list of the things that I could do and things that I need to stay away from. So for the most part, I did work out on my own because I just I was super sad when I would take class and I wouldn't be able to do all the things.
Yeah.
So it wasn't helpful for me to take class at that point.
Yeah.
So I just figured that I will do my own thing.
Yeah.
With, on my own, which worked for me.
Yeah.
Because I got even sadder when I saw what everyone else like back squat, deadlift, and I'm just like, okay, great. I'm just gonna be on the floor with my one dumbbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just so I worked out on my own for about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
not very long.
it's not. So that's why I didn't see like it was a big deal or anything. So I did give myself a time frame, right? And then I gave myself 4 weeks and then went back to Heidi, and then she would tell me, okay, you can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right. And then slowly but surely we were just working up to, full on regular training.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds fairly similar to what you did. Maybe you didn't have all the visits with Heidi, but.
Oh, no, I did a 10-week squat program, man. I got my quads were jacked afterwards. I got so strong. Yeah, because I hadn't really worked on squatting, and I'm like, you know what? I need something to.
Yeah, so you just avoided the area completely.
Yeah. So, and I got injured right around the 12 days. So, I had to do the 12 days. So it was hard. I mean, I remember one of the workouts was the one that we partnered with Hale or something.
Yeah, Hale.
And I love handstand push-ups. I couldn't do handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
It was a heavy clean. I think I may have been able to do a clean by that point. I couldn't snatch.
Yeah.
But there was like one of them was a snatch workout and a pull-up workout.
Yeah.
And I did like banded PVC pull downs for the pull-ups. So, I had to, it was hard, but I squatted heavy instead to fuel myself.
So you found something that you could do that would make you feel good about your training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do that as well, Wendy?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Katie.
No.
Look like you. No. I couldn't lift any weights.
You just
no, like
did whatever.
I couldn't run. I mean, at that point, I wasn't a fan of running. I couldn't everything had to be like static movements, like
the back is hard.
Yeah, plank holds, right? On the floor movements, like all those things. I mean, I couldn't even. She told me to stay away from weights, like for a good 2 months, 3 months. So, no lifting for me.
Yeah. That's rough.
It is. It is. That's why I just wanted just to be on my own because I did feel sad when I couldn't. I saw everyone and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things is like you work so hard to get into this routine, and then you're starting to see progress.
Yeah.
You have something that kind of derails you.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this the other day. It was like, the problem for me is not like that I got hurt. It's like whatever. It's that before I got hurt, I was like pretty close to being in the best shape that I've been for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go from that to like, fuck, I can't even walk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's soul crushing.
Yeah, it really
and then
is tough.
you mix like you.
That's the absolute worst.
Yeah, because then you start to think like I don't know if I can get to that shape again, or I'm ever going to be able to lift any weights anymore. And then for the first 3 months or 2 months, I wouldn't say that was my mentality. Like I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I remember that happening like when I was a gymnast, and you train 9 months for this like 3 month competitive period, more if you qualify for things and whatnot. But like I remember breaking my ankle like basically a month before competition began. And like broken ankle injury is like, you're out for the season. You're out for the entire season.
Can't you
and it
pull
was just
like
like,
Kelly Shrug?
yo, carry just one leg, just hop around. Oh my gosh, there's so much to say about that. But no, like, yeah, and it's like, and it's devastating, and it's like totally different if it had been, you know, even like my bicep injury, right? Well, it wasn't really a big deal because I wasn't like performing. I was busy doing work. Like I wasn't performing a lot in the gym, so it wasn't a big deal to rehab it and kind of like get back.
Yeah.
It's like my comparison point wasn't this amazing thing. Whereas in gymnastics, like, man, that was a devastating. And then what happened actually was about a year later, I broke the other one. And that at that point, I was just like, I'm done. Like that was actually my, like, I'm being done with the sport pretty much. Yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Get that close. And then anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I get
this
it. Anyway, sorry, we went there.
That's really big.
Yeah. That's so
We went
crushing.
there. Soul crushing. Killer.
Well, my next question was how do you recover from that? But if you just quit, then just do something else.
Yeah.
Do something else. Do something else.
Well, so here's the thing, though. I have found, because you're not always in the best shape of your life. Like you kind of go up and down, right?
Yeah.
And I found that for me, there's this moment of like, this really sucks. And I'm like thinking of all the things that I can't do. Like you said, oh, I'll never be able to do this, never be able to do this. And then I realized, like, actually, this is just another starting point.
Yeah.
And you're just going to do whatever the next thing is that you can do. And eventually, you'll be able to get to where you were, or maybe not, but you'll be able to get to whatever your new potential is. Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, when you are, after you give birth, it's like you're kind of wondering what you're going to be able to do, and you almost have to restart, right? And so it's that same sort of mentality.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're kind of restarting, wondering what you can do, having to do all these like weird exercises to repair all this stuff.
You mean dead bugs and bird dogs?
Yeah.
What we did today?
They're so
All
great.
the
I
animals.
love dead bugs and bird dogs.
Me too.
Oh my God.
Love it.
So you having to do those.
Yeah.
But I mean, you must be thinking during that time, it's like, I don't know if I'll ever get back to
Right.
this.
Yeah, because I did wonder too after having Weston, like, I wonder if I'm going to be able to do all the things, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it's almost like start over,
Yeah.
show up, and then show up, and then you start to see progress in some way or another.
Yeah.
Right. For Rebecca, it was, okay, my back squat's improving.
Right.
Right. And then for you, it was what? Like I'm starting to feel less pain, or?
Yeah. When I started moving again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the goal, right? Not to feel
Yeah.
pain when I move.
Yeah.
So the 3 to 4 weeks off help with that. And then just doing, plank holds, mobility for the most part. That's all I was doing, smashing everything.
But at what point, I guess my question is, at what point in this process did you start to feel like, oh, things are getting better?
Month 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you stuck with this for 3 months.
Being completely honest.
You did this for 3 months with no progress.
With no progress, no hope. Like I still didn't know if I was going to be able to do the things.
But like you think about it, 3 months in the grander scheme of things is not that long.
It's not. It wasn't that long. And I did have Heidi. This is why Heidi is such an angel. She was I guess you can say she was my coach through my injury. She would tell me, trust me, you will do the things because you did not get injured to the point that you have to stop lifting.
Yeah.
But then, you're like, no, I don't think I'm going to do it. So
I kind of don't believe you. You had zero progress in 3 months. Like,
what do you mean progress?
Okay. So let's say you were 10 out of 10 pain on day 1.
Uh-huh.
Were you a 10 out of 10
Oh,
on,
I see.
on day 30? Like,
yeah, no. After those 4 weeks, I felt less pain.
okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You weren't seeing progress.
Yeah, I thought you meant were you lifting weights? I thought that's what you meant.
Your
No.
bar is too high.
I know it is.
But
That's
okay, so you hit a reset, and
Right.
the idea is I want to be able to do something without pain.
Yes.
And you're able to do
Yeah.
stuff without pain.
Yeah. So after those 3 weeks that I took off, it was way less. I
Yeah,
was able
okay.
to get out of the bed without hurting. I was like rolling over at that point, and then after 3 weeks, I was able to actually sit on it. So little things like that
Yeah.
started to feel better. So yes.
Yeah. And then do you feel like doing the training that you had to do was helpful in you making
Oh
that
yeah.
progress? Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like listening to Heidi and actually doing the things. There was a few times where after I think 3 months, I was like, ooh, I wonder if I can do a dumbbell squat.
Yeah.
And I almost did it, but then I was like, don't do it. Don't be dumb. This is why you got here in the first place.
Yeah.
So there was a few times where I just wanted to say, I think I'm feeling better. Let's go for a run and it was super tempting to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like if people come in, they do something, they get hurt.
Yeah.
Like it's not stop everything.
Yeah.
It is figure out what you can do and focus on that. Yeah. It's just like maybe you're at whatever, a level 7 and your injury brings you down to a level 4. Great. Now how do we get to a level 5?
Yeah.
Rather than focus on getting 7 to 8.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that's really hard.
It is.
To be able to like recognize like, oh damn, I'm back at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I think part of the process though. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is you learned going through that actually there was some things that were missing. Yeah.
So it was an area for me or areas that I'm also paying attention a lot more to as well.
Yeah.
In order for me to do the things that I would like to do.
Yeah. So
it was a good learning experience, just learning more about my body too as well, what I can do. And then, having a coach has made a huge difference because I don't think I was able to recover from that injury so well with Heidi there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by myself, I could have possibly made it worse at some point.
Yeah.
So I will say that's one thing that stood out for me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I found that to be super useful coaching too, and like coaching people through injuries is just remembering like how isolating it can feel.
Yeah.
And like going the extra mile to make sure they feel like they got something out of a workout or like we're a part of the class. I think that was one thing that being injured as a gymnast was really tough, is that then you became isolated from the group because you had to do all kinds of different things. And it's one thing that I've really appreciated about like the community of people who are here, which is that I've recognized even when I've had little injuries and things, part of the thing that has motivated me to come in is like, well, I get to see everybody, right? I get to be a part of this community. And even though I might be doing something a little bit different, like I still very much feel like a part of things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing for me is like feeling of like, oh, I'll never be able to participate in a class. And it's like, the truth is there's like 3 things I can't do.
Yeah.
It's not like out of the 100 things, there's like 3 to 5 things that it's not even that I can't do. There's 3 to 5 things I probably shouldn't do.
Yeah. And I mean, like Rebecca said too, 3 months is not even a long time, right? It might seem like it is, but it's actually not a long time.
Yeah.
And then within those 3 months, it doesn't mean that you'll get weaker, right? You'll be able to most likely, when you can squat or do the other things, it's not going to be like the very, very first time that you've done it, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you put some work into it too as well. It may even feel better, right? Because you've been mobilizing and smashing and doing all the things that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So, 3 months wasn't a lot. I mean, it felt like forever.
Of course. When you're in it, it feels like the end of the world. But in the grander scheme of things, it's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing,
Well, here's the other thing. Injury is really just feedback. Right? I mean, we're not playing, like you said, it's not non-contact sport. There's like not a lot of things you can do in here that will just injure you randomly.
Right.
Right? Like really, like
Exactly.
no one's gonna like tackle
Run
you,
into you.
while you're doing a snatch, right?
Maybe.
No, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I had an ACL tear back when I was like in my 20s, and it was because someone ran into my knee as I was jumping.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that's not something that's going to happen in here. And so the injury, really, your back injury is feedback. Like maybe your movement patterns were not great.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And so if you're thinking about it, like actually this is feedback as part of the process, then it's like,
it's
it's like
exciting.
I wasn't listening to my coach all those years when they were saying push your knees out, stay back on your heels.
Right.
Yep.
So now my leg is all messed up, and so now I have to deal with that. And
Yeah.
if I don't learn to deal with it properly, then I won't be able to do the thing that I used to be able to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyways, super uplifting thing about injury, but I think there's three things when it comes down to it. Number one is like the injury is not the end of your career.
Right.
It's not the end of your, like, you're gonna move. I always think about this. It's like my leg hurts, I can't squat. It's like, actually I can. I have to sit down and get up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can
Gotta
sit
use
down.
the toilet.
Yeah. I have used the toilet since then. Right? And that means that is just a very scaled down version of a 400-pound back squat.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I can still do the movement
Yeah.
while I eventually work my way back up there, right? So, it's not the end of the world. Number two is like figuring out what you can show up for.
Yeah.
I think makes a pretty big difference,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And not only just for, I mostly train for my mental health,
Yeah.
right? And so being around other people and doing something, I think is pretty useful. And then the last one is like maybe you needed to get hurt to actually learn that lesson. Yeah. So
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
yeah.
100%. It's a gift.
It is okay to feel the feelings though when you first get hurt.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Like, get mad.
Yeah.
One thing I liked when you first talked about your injury, Jay, is you said I'm currently injured, and that's huge. Just defining it as a moment in time,
Yeah.
as opposed to like when people say I have a bad back,
Yeah.
I have a bum
yeah,
leg,
yeah.
you know, I have a bad shoulder. Just using that word currently, I currently have a bad shoulder because
Yeah.
you can work on it
Right.
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snaps for that.
Yeah, Heidi says like your back is pissed off or your hip is pissed off, and it's just like it's like almost, it's like this visual of like you've been doing the
Yeah.
thing wrong, and now your leg is pissed off at you.
Yeah.
It's like
just
throwing
like-
hands at you.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. So like figure out a way to calm it down so that it will be back to
Yeah,
normal.
yeah.
you
Talk
know?
to it gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Man. Nice. Man. Don't get mad. It's
Yeah,
okay.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll go get ice cream after this.
That's why mommy always kisses it, you know?
Oh.
All right. And with that, we will end this show. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you in the next one.
Yay.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, we've got plenty of others. Go check out this one over here.